This is Chris Wright of the Maine Red Claws, and you're listening to CLNS Radio, the home of online sports talk radio.
This is Dave Lato of the Maine Red Claws, and you're listening to CLNS Radio, the home of online sports talk radio.
Okay, Hoops fans, NBA fans, Celtics fans, it's Monday night. We are back to Celtics Late Night Show. We're live right here on CLNSradio.com. Brandon, we are now joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Tas Melas from the Basketball Jones. Taz, you're in our neck of the woods. What's going on, man?
How you guys doing? A lot of Maine Red Claws shout-outs there. I don't know where I am right now.
Yeah, BPaul, why don't you explain that to Taz?
Well, we have a pretty good partnership with the Red Claws. I'm actually from Maine, which is the closest state to where you are from. So we have a pretty good relationship with them, and we got those clips at Media Day. So we like to work with the Red Claws. They're doing some good things in Maine. They're the only professional basketball team in Maine. So that's where those came from.
I wouldn't say the closest state to where I'm from. I mean, it's the closest technically, I suppose, to Canada, but I am a stone's throw away from the beautiful city of Buffalo, where I reside anyways, in Toronto.
Closer to me then.
Yeah,
I'm in Scranton, PA. I'm in Scranton, PA, so yeah, I would say Buffalo would probably be closer to me than well, whatever. I failed geography pretty poorly, so let's talk hoops, man. You are in Boston right now, right?
No, we're in New York City right now.
You're in New York.
Watching the football game yesterday, cheering on the Bills because I think it is just automatically our home team of choice. Being from Toronto and Buffalo being so close, cheering on the Bills against the New York Jets here in New York. So we weren't the fan favorites at the bar, but it was yeah. I mean, New York City's been great to us. It's the 8th stop on our 10-city tour, and we're really enjoying ourselves. It's getting long. It's getting to the nitty-gritty of it all. It's winding down, but it's been great meeting a lot of our fans and doing a ton of shows.
And you saved your best show in the best city for last, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Before we go home, we're gonna have a doozy at Boston. We're gonna be on an extra high because it is our last American city, so it should be great. And these two last shows, New York City is tomorrow night, being our first shows after the NBA and Players Union, or whatever they're called right now that they're decertified. The two sides coming to a deal, so more of a celebratory shows, and it's going to be great.
Well, what can people going to these events expect, Taz? I know you're doing a live show, but what else can they expect, and where can they find more information?
Well, they can expect a lot of attempts at jokes. We try that deal. We've kind of stayed away from the ball talk throughout throughout the lockout. Who wants to talk about that crap before they came to a deal? Now that they slipped in a deal over Thanksgiving weekend, we can do the ball talk. So there'll be some of that, but a lot of bad jokes that hopefully people laugh at. If you've listened to any of the podcasts, there's been a lot of dead silence, but it's all worked out. You can hit our Facebook page to get easy access, facebook.com/thebasketballjones for our venue tomorrow night in New York City, and at Game On in Boston, Massachusetts on Friday night.
Great stuff, and that's a good venue to hold that at, too. There's a lot of events that go down at Game On. So if you're in the Boston area, we definitely encourage you, the Celtics fans and any other fans that may reside in Boston, to check out the Basketball Jones live show at Game On. You can check that out and get more details on their Facebook page, facebook.com/thebasketballjones.
Hold on, let me drop quick names that are going to be at the show. Sean Grande, Celtics Radio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name, if it's Grande. Celtics Radio play-by-play man, and Jonah Carey, writer Jonah Carey, who writes at Grantland, will be our guests in Boston on Friday.
That's great. Grande is he's an excellent guest. We've had a couple shows on our network. I've had him on previously, and he knows his stuff, and he's pretty comical. So that's another reason to stop by and check out the show. But we are going to dive into some hoops talks here real quick, Taz. We have the NBA season. We're on the brink, a couple weeks away from NBA basketball being played. We've heard the news that it's going to be a 66-game schedule. Now, we as Celtics fans, we think the Celtics are going to benefit from that. What teams do you believe are going to benefit from that shortened schedule?
I think there's 3 levels of teams that are going to benefit. The first being, young legs that have already established chemistry and camaraderie, because playing together in training camp is already on short supply. Coaches already complain about that when they've got 4 weeks. This year they have 2.5 weeks, and it's going to be helter-skelter. It's just going to be wild. There's going to be new players coming in because training camp starts the same day that free agency does. So you have to already have established yourself as a team, with the chemistry to actually, go into the season feeling confident and for it to show on the court. So the Celtics have an advantage in that regard. But, you saw last year how bad the Celtics were on the second half of back-to-backs. That is not going to help with more games packed into a schedule. It's not an extremely more heavy schedule, but it's, an extra half a game per week if you want to work out the math. And, the Celtics, they don't have the legs to do it. You saw the Celtics, teams like the Spurs last year. So they've got the chemistry and the camaraderie, to get them through this. Like the Knicks did in '99, they had an old team, weren't great during the regular season, but it proved in the playoffs because, you don't have time to build a camaraderie as a young team to get it together that way. So, the Knicks flew through the playoffs, and the Celtics have that advantage. But the teams that really have the advantage that can go on these, these back-to-backs that are going to be scheduled, 1, 2, or 3 for each team are teams like the Thunder, the Bulls, teams that are young, that are great, along with the Heat. I think that's the upper echelon of teams that have the advantage. Then you go into the teams that have done it year in and year out, don't need a lot of practice time, like the Celtics, Spurs, Mavs, etc.
Well, on the contrast to that, do you think there's going to be any teams that suffer from a shortened schedule, teams that may have taken advantage of the wear and tear of 82 games on teams like the Celtics, the Lakers, the Spurs? Do you think that there's going to be some teams that can no longer take advantage of those extra 16 games and may suffer from a shortened schedule?
See, I wouldn't call it, extra wear and tear, extra 16 games meaning wear and tear, because, players complain about playing 2, 3, 4 games a week as it is. 4 games and 5 nights kill players. You're still going to see that this year. The schedule is just shortened. There are less games. So that's still going to hurt teams like the Celtics, et cetera. So I wouldn't term it that way. I wouldn't put it that way. But the teams that are really going to suffer are the teams that don't have, they have a lot of talent, but they don't have time to get it together in training camp. The teams that have a lot of new parts, the teams that, look good on paper, but haven't shown it yet. Teams like the Warriors, I think, with abundance of talent, but just, have never really had the chemistry or camaraderie of good teams. Teams like the Clippers, who showed last year in stretches that they could be great, but injuries hurt them. So I would say teams like that are kind of borderline, Sixers, those types of teams that, maybe could get somewhere if they had some time in training camps, their coaches had some time, but we're going to see some ugly ball right out of the gate, just like we did in '99, because teams haven't gotten it together. And I'm using that term, but it's true. It's going to be a lot of ugly balls coming off that rim. Get ready for some serious rebounding numbers.
Well, I want to follow up to the beginning of that answer you gave when you were talking about the Celtics in the back-to-back. So you believe that the back-to-backs are going to have more of an impact on them than, say, an extra 16 games? Do you think ultimately what it came down to last season when they were playing the Miami Heat, we obviously saw a very tired team out on the floor? Do you think that had more to do with the back-to-backs they played throughout the season, or the fact that they had 82-plus games on their legs when they entered that series?
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. When it comes to playoff time, I think it's a bit of an advantage come playoff time that you have less games. That's why the Knicks did so well in the '99 playoffs. Being a veteran team, having only played 50 games. They didn't play well during the regular season. They're an 8 seed, I believe, and got to the NBA Finals against the Spurs that year. But in the playoffs, because that chemistry came around, and that worked to their advantage, even though they were beaten by some of the younger teams during the regular season. So yes, I think you're hinting at the fact that an 82-game sched would hurt teams like the Celtics, would wear them down over the course of a year, and 16 last games would help them out. I'm in agreement with that. I would go with that over the fact that, the back-to-backs hurt them. I'm just talking strictly about the regular season when I say it's going to hurt them, because the second half of back-to-backs, killed the Celtics last year. And, the numbers have been proven. It didn't really change in 99. The fact that, older teams still struggled in the second half of back-to-back, so that's going to be the case this year. And it's going to go into, you'll see it in the third game of back-to-backs as well. The Celtics will have similar numbers they did, in the second half of back-to-back, so they'll struggle there.
We're talking regular season here, and you mentioned the playoffs. We're talking back-to-backs. Grumblings, some things coming out, leaking out, and I don't know how true they are. Maybe you could give us some insights on it, that possibly in the playoffs we may be looking at back-to-backs. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, it looks like a very, very strong possibility just to make up time. It seems like it's going to be in the second round.
You know why?
Why? Just because they need to get the thing done by the end of, I think it's about the third week of June, because the way scheduling works, teams give a bunch of dates to the NBA scheduler prior to, I think it's about June 21st. So teams like the Los Angeles Lakers have a bunch of events locked up in the Staples Center. Whether it's Justin Bieber or Nick Carter coming in town on June 22nd and June 23rd and June 24th, they can't cancel those dates. And that's all they're obligated to give the NBA. So there's a drop-dead date for the Lakers were brought up. They can't play a game in Staples Center past June 23rd and June 24th. And I know you guys will be happy to hear that the Lakers think that they'll be in the finals come next season. But I mean, that's the case, and that's the case for a lot of teams. The Staples Center is a high priority, and obviously a lot of events go on there. So that's why they just need to get it done by a certain date. So the playoffs are starting a week to 10 days, I believe, later. I think it's 11 days actually later than they usually do. So they've got to make up some dates, and you're going to see some back-to-backs. You're going to see less time in between rounds, and rounds overlapping each other. So if round one isn't necessarily done for all teams, but it is for two teams that have lined up to play in round two, they'll play before round one ends for the other team, just to get her going.
BPaul, leave it to the Lakers fans to ditch their team for Justin Bieber.
Well, I mean, Justin Bieber is part of the team. He got a championship.
Well, I know. I guess as Celtics fans, Taz, we're just talking prior to you coming on. We are concerned about Doc Rivers limiting minutes and resting guys. Thoughts on that? I mean, do you see Doc giving way to his past tendencies of overplaying some of these guys to rest them? He's going to have to, right?
I think he's smart enough to know that, 3 games and 3 nights it's just not going to fly for Kevin Garnett and the vets on the team. It's just not going to work. And there's no point. Just look at the Eastern Conference. And as I mentioned, the fact that teams have played together is a huge advantage for those upper echelon teams. There's 4 or 5. There's the Bulls, Celtics, Heat, Magic are sort of in there, and Hawks are sort of in there. And the fact that it's an interconference heavy schedule this year, teams are playing a lot less against the opposing conference. Celtics is going to have, a good amount of games against those 6 through 15 teams in the East. So there isn't a big worry. Me being from Toronto, comfortable saying I don't think the Celtics, with Kevin Garnett playing 15 minutes in the third game of a back-to-back against the Raptors, is a big worry for them. It's not an issue. The Eastern Conference is very top-heavy, and the chemistry and the camaraderie that the guys have built for years is going to come through, and they'll be fine playing against, the mediocre teams. Although, I'm a fan of a team like the Pacers coming on and growing together. That's a team that could surprise people, I think. They love playing together. They've had a little bit of time together. They love playing for Frank Vogel. But I think the fact that, there's a nice divide here between the top 4, really the top 3 teams in the East, and, those 6 through 15 teams. So I think that will get them through a lot of games.
All right, folks, you're listening to the Celtics Late Night Show on www.clnsradio.com. We are currently live with Tas Melas from the Basketball Jones, talking Celtics, talking NBA. And we were talking prior to the end of the lockout, Tas, Nick and I on the show about Kevin Garnett's future, about Ray Allen's future, about Paul Pierce's future, if the lockout were not to end. And now that the lockout it has ended, they at least have one more season in their bag. What do you see after this season? Where do you see these guys going? Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. Which one? Do you think any of them are done for good? Do you expect some of them to take on limited roles? What are your thoughts on the Celtics Big Three as we move along here?
I don't think anyone, Kevin Garnett's mother, anybody, his wife, anybody, I'm not sure if he's married, but no one is going to tell him that he can't play anymore after this season. There's not a chance that somebody doesn't sign him up. I'm not going to go ahead and say he's leaving. I really have no idea. But he's playing basketball after this year. I'm pretty certain in that. We know Paul Pierce has signed up past this year. And, someone's going to sign Ray. They're not done. Are they done as Celtics? I mean, it's really hard to say. But, if Ray were to take a bit of a lesser role, I think they'd be glad to have him back. Everybody needs a guy who can, light up 8 threes a game. How can you say no to Kevin Garnett? I think he's getting smarter, and he knows he's going to have to sit from time to time. So, Kevin Garnett is not done playing basketball after this season. I don't see that happening. I think they're going to feel fresh, having an extra month and a half off. We'll see if that translates into some spry bodies come April 26th in the playoffs, but they're not done. I mean, there's no chance. Do they go somewhere else? I think Danny Ainge is pretty comfortable in blowing things up, as you saw, when the Seas traded Kendrick Perkins, but they're not done playing ball. I mean, that's too far in the future, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this then. You mentioned how you're not sure if they're going to be returning to the Celtics or where they may go. We've had a debate on here multiple times throughout the past few years of whether or not these guys, the Big Three, deserve to be their jerseys raised to the rafters and go down with some of the best in Celtics history. Do you think if they do move on to a different team, or even if they don't, that all three of them do deserve to have their number retired once they do call it quits?
Well, the way the Celtics organization hands out retired numbers, I mean, Kendrick Perkins is going to get one, right?
All right. Come on.
Just kidding. Obviously, they lead the league in retired numbers, and maybe the most storied franchise, obviously. But the quick math here. They've only played 4 years, so that's a short amount of time. One more year this year, you make it 5. We're talking about Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, obviously the extended Celtics career. I think Paul Pierce is a lock. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And considering the way they do hand things out, I know it's tongue in cheek, but considering the way they do hand out retired numbers, 5 years for a Garnett and an Allen that won a championship. I think all three of them do get it, even if they do move on after this year. I think Paul Pierce is most definitely a lock, and then Allen and Garnett definitely get raised to the rafters, and then eventually guys are going to have to start wearing some of those numbers because we're running out of digits.
Running out.
Right? Right.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's interesting though, Taz. I have not heard many people say or even ponder the thought of Allen and Garnett going to another location after Boston. Interesting. I would have to say that if they do not go to another location, so if they retire or stay longer, they're definitely getting their numbers hoisted up there. If they go, they may not. But then again, we did retire Cedric Maxwell's number. I guess Max gave 7 years. I don't know. This has been a very popular debate over the years between Brandon and I. But so let me ask you this. Condensed season, champion, 66 games season, NBA champion, 2012. Is there an asterisk by it or not?
I don't think there's a chance. There's no asterisk by it. There's not. It's as simple as that. I mean, there was ugly ball played in '99, guys, with only 50 games played. And that was nasty. There was just some shoddy ball. I think the fact that this is, a little more spaced out, it's not going to be as nasty as it was in '99. This isn't a league. This isn't baseball where we give a crap about, whether a guy scored 1,500 points or 2,000 points total. So that sort of goes out the window. It doesn't really matter if we play 82 games, in my opinion. So I don't think so. I mean, it's starting pretty early. It is starting early enough for the casual fan to get into it on Christmas Day. It's not starting in the middle of January, or late January like last time. Or it started early February. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But I don't think so. It's hard to say now. I guess it sort of depends on how ugly the ball ends up being. If we can, legitimately look at the basketball and say, wow, that was some nasty stuff out there. That did not look like NBA basketball. But 66 games is a great number, and I think the players will be happy to play 66 games, even though I'm sure they'd like to play. And they've mentioned, and every time, in the limited amount of times I've had to talk to players about their schedule, they're so happy, to say, yeah, I wish it was sort of like Euroball or soccer where we play 2 games a week. And we're entirely fresh for every single minute on that floor, and we can give it for every single minute on that floor. And they balk at things like when we suggest we go to All-Star Weekend, we suggest, you guys should have a one-on-one tournament this weekend. That would be great. Everyone would watch. And they balk and say, we play 82 games plus playoffs. It can be 100 games a year. We get worked to the bone, and they don't feel fresh. 66 games, they're going to be happy to play, even though it is a little too condensed for their liking, I believe. But in the end, we're all going to walk away, I think, and say 66 games is a decent number. Does it need to be more than that? Yes, it does for gate sales and the fact that it brings in money and the fact that, TV stations are promised 41 home games for each year, 82 games, starting November 1st or whatever it is. So I highly, highly doubt it'll ever change. But the players will be happy to go 66 games. I don't see an asterisk on this season at all.
Excellent. That's good sign. Now, I know we got to get you off the show here. You were kind enough to give us time on Monday night. Take a break from football. Before we let you go, I got to ask you, on your tour, what's been the sentiment like among basketball fans? I mean, you say you haven't talked much hoops during the lockout, but have you seen a backlash publicly? Do you expect there to be an extended backlash from the fans? Filling into the arenas. What are your thoughts? What have you observed?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we haven't talked a lot on our shows, the shows that we put out over the interwebs when it's all said and done about basketball, because, it's just, I don't like talking about labor negotiations. I don't want lawyers speak on our show. Who gives a crap? We're fans of the game, but when it's, the show is over and we're shaking hands with all our fans that came out, of course, we're all there for ball. Everybody except for the fans in Miami who don't care about basketball asks about the game, right? A little shot at Miami. I needed to get one in there.
Can we make a soundbite out of that?
No, I didn't put it that eloquently. We can do it again. Miami fans, fan up. All right, no, just kidding. They were great. They were fine. And we talk about ball with every single person, and I would say there was a yearning just to get back on the court. I don't think there was much of a backlash. I think the hardcores will be back. I don't think 6 weeks is going to turn off the hardcore fan at all. And I think it's sort of going under the rug here a little bit that David Stern made a beautiful PR move to make that agreement on Thanksgiving Day weekend when everyone was away from their computers and their television sets, and nobody really, heard the news at all. So by the time they got back to their television sets, this morning, and we're recording here on Monday morning, or on Monday night, when guys got back and girls got back to their computers or their television sets on Monday morning, and they read NBA Lockout resolved. Does my favorite team go after this player? That's what we're talking about Monday morning, and we're not talking about the lockout negotiations. It's sort of gone already. The hardcores have analyzed the CBA already, and now we're talking about player movement. We're not talking about lawyer speak. So I think the casual fan even is sort of already coming around to that. It feels like, guys, I don't know if you're in the same boat, but the lockouts, long gone already. We chatted about it for 4 months until our mouths went dry and we freaking hated everything about it. But 24, 36 hours later, after they came to a deal, I mean, who cares? It's over. You know, we're playing ball. I think the hardcores can easily do that. I think you know, the casual fan, you know, that myth out there is that casual fans don't care about basketball till Christmas anyways. And, you know, I think it's partly true. And the fact that, you know, Stern pulled this smart PR move will enable fans to get it back into the game a little bit faster than they would have if this, you know, if it came out, you know, on a Monday morning and we saw these live press conferences. I mean, coming out at Saturday, 3 a.m. Eastern, and declaring that it was over, you know, when things actually weren't over, when things hadn't actually been agreed upon, there was a reason why that occurred. You know, they actually didn't have a deal, but they were willing to say, hey, you know, let's do this now while people aren't watching. So I feel like, you know, fans will be comfortable to, you know, accept what happened and just move on and get ready to watch ball. I think the hardcores, like ourselves, don't really care. And every fan out there, if you're a fan of the Basketball Jones, our show, you're pretty much a hardcore. So, you know, everybody that we saw was really comfortable and comfortable in saying that they'll be ready to watch basketball again. I didn't think we came across one person that said, you know, F the NBA, we're not coming back to this game.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Taz, obviously we are an internet-based, World Wide Web-based podcast, similar to what you guys do. So we have people in our chat room that are from all over the United States, and they want to tune in to your show in Boston. When will it stream online?
It will be online. I guess we'll likely put it up Monday morning. We won't put it up on Saturday. If you want to see it live, come out to Game On Friday night, and then it'll be in your, you know, iTunes feeds. You can search for the Basketball Jones on iTunes or go to our webpage, thescore.com/TVJ. But we know the internet tricks, and nobody tunes in on the weekend, so we don't put it up until Monday. We basically take our live show. Our great producer JD mixes it and you know, makes it sound all pretty, and we'll likely put it up on Monday after we get back from our tour this weekend. Get back home to Toronto. So yeah, either show up at Game On Friday or you know, find us on the internet, and we'll likely be talking some basketball and likely some Celtics hoops, I'm sure, with Sean Grande and Sean Grandy. Thanks for that. Thanks. No,
that's okay. I wasn't correcting you. He's awesome, man. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy Sean.
I've been having a lot of coffee here, so a lot of Starbucks coffee, so that's why I go with the Grande pronunciation.
Verde Grande. Taz, thanks so much, man. We appreciate your time. Go watch football. We'll be tuning in. I'm in Scranton, PA, so I'm not getting there to Boston to see, although a couple of our writers are going up to check it out, so I'll get the feedback from them and definitely catch you on demand on Monday. So we definitely appreciate your time, and yeah, we agree with you. Miami fans suck. No, just kidding. Anyway, man, have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you
always
during the year.
Great, man. Thanks. Have a great night. That was Tas Melas from the Basketball Jones. BPaul, an amazing point. One that slipped right over my head. Another act of brilliance by David Stern. You could shoot me now, but I'm going to tell you, Taz is right. How smart was that, doing it Friday night or Saturday morning, however you look at it, at 3 a.m., making the announcement that they have come to an agreement before an agreement is even reached, and nobody's there to bitch about it because we're all, you know, digesting our turkeys, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's a smart man. There's no doubt about that. I think sometimes he does lack some common sense.
Who, Taz or David Stern? Wait a minute.
No,
or us.
David Stern, yes. David Stern definitely lacks common sense at times, and he's a businessman. He's a businessman at heart. That's why he's in the position that he's in, and yeah, definitely a smart move by him. And imagine what would have happened if he did mention that and a deal isn't reached. What is going to be the outlash if they?
That's not going to happen.
what if the owners of the players reject this and the ink is not put down onto the paper?
He's not coming out and saying we got a deal. You know what I really liked? How many times over the weekend they showed the parade of Derek Fisher, Billy Hunter, and David Stern walking out. First of all, you realize how short Stern is, but this guy's old. I mean, he's tired. Why did someone needs to give him like a Tempur-Pedic pillow for these press conferences following the negotiations. The guy looks like he's always ready to pass out.
Yeah, he did look pretty tired, and I watched the rerun, obviously, of the press conference, and at 3 a.m. in the morning after 15 hours of negotiation, he wasn't looking at the top of his game, put it that way.
But somehow Adam Silver always looks more tired, and he's about 30 years younger.
Yeah, he's just...
he looks like Lurch, man.
Yeah, something about Adam Silver just irks me. I don't know what it is.
Get used to him, man. He's going to be around a long time.
Yeah, maybe it's just the fact that I wish I had his job, but...
Really? I would never want that job.
What do you mean you wouldn't want that job?
I would not want to be commissioner of the NBA. Are you kidding me? That's not an easy job.
I would love to be commissioner of the NBA.
Oh, Minga. Minga. I sound like I just said Minga on the radio. You don't know what that means, do you?
I don't. I'm not a...
That's an Italian slang from PA. Let's go to commercial break. We're going to come right back with the 2011-12 CLNS Radio Beat Team, led off by Dr. John, who is going to make his return to the Celtic Late Night Show in a couple minutes. And we also have Sean and Nick who are going to be calling in and quickly intro the Beat Team that'll be covering every one of your Boston Celtics games right here on the CLNS Radio Network. We'll do that right after the break, and the call lines are open. Brandon, I'll give the call in number 347. I know you forget it, Brandon, so I'm going to tell you, too. 347-215-7771. You're right. Okay, so the call lines are open. We're going to hit the break, and we'll see you on the other side.
This is CLNS Radio, the home of Internet Sports Talk Radio.